So this week could be the interesting week for crypto and the entire stock market. We have a CPI print on the 13th, which is Thursday, and also, if you look on the screen, we also have earnings season is about to start. Now, I know, mainly crypto, but we've got to look at the S&P 500 a lot in the next few weeks. It could determine where we go. Not to mention the data, interest rate hikes, all that stuff, talked about it before, but we've also got to add in the added element of earnings. First article you read on Seeking Alpha already today is about this. Potential misses on the earnings season could be quite apparent on a lot of big stocks, big banks, because of what's happened in the past few weeks, few months, etc. It could get worse as well into Q1. Thinking about Christmas, winter earnings, have people's habits changed? And what would that mean? We don't know yet. Fear and greed will always drive the market. Moving on though. Hello. So, CPI update. A lot of people on Twitter about a week ago were talking about a pivot. I don't know where that came from, who was talking about that. Probably some stupid cattle account as usual. But I want to talk about the core inflation rate. It's forecasted to go up. That is bad. Core is more the normal sort of, in my opinion, more important than the other one, personally, right? Because that is kind of stemming and showing where the growth is coming from, i.e. what is going up and why is it still going up, right? So when we look at that as a fact, it's a problem. You know, when we look at the previous ones in July, 5.9, then it went up to 6.3. So, oh God, hold on a minute. We haven't actually curbed this yet. And this is why I'm like thinking, well, where's this pivot coming from? The core produce of what this is taking it from is everyday life, which is where the problem is. And this is where it's going to probably affect people's lives and spending habits, right? So when we look at this, yeah, great, you know, wasn't as mental, but this was last time. This is why the market dropped. Ever since the Jackson Hole, I think Jerome Powell has told us very specifically what's happening, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. If the inflation rate is bad on both of those on Thursday, the market is not going to like it. Put it that way, nowhere near. And even if it is an 8.2, that is still bad. If it comes in not as hot, it's good, right? If it comes in hotter and it's worse, i.e. it's like 8.3 again or 8.4 maybe, who knows, it's going to be bad. But for me, if this is anywhere near this forecast, 6.4, it's basically telling us that inflation is going to continue to stay at this range, or it's going to go even higher because it can't get the core rate down, which is what people are using on a daily basis, right? Huge importance. Other things to note. Inflation across the world is getting worse. Everything, apart from the odd one, is getting worse. Most of it. Right, you can see that very, very clearly on a lot of them. Look at Netherlands, a massive jump. You know, you got places where even if it isn't moving much, it's still pretty high, regardless of what you look at. UK had a little bit of an improvement, but that's probably due to certain things that were happening in the country at the time. I can imagine the next one is not going to be as good. I wonder why. But look at Germany, look at Netherlands, places like that. The entire Eurozone, not great. Turkey is mad. Argentina is mad. Yes, there has been a few improvements, as I've said, but there's not many. Realistically, right? There's not many. So we need to be mindful of that. On to the charts, though. Talked about it, earnings season, etc., etc., right? This is the S&P futures chart right now. US market is currently closed today, but fundamentals. Earnings are bad. Inflation data is bad. We're probably going to continue getting a bit of panic, and the market will probably drop. What does this mean for crypto? Well, if crypto is going to follow this, and it has been, we're probably going to see some new lows if we break below and we continue going down. Q4 doesn't look great, in my opinion, if we're looking at certain things. Now, looking at Bitcoin, not a lot's happened. It's been pretty boring, but yes, I showed you in the previous video, we do follow this essentially, you know, S&P, and you know, the Bitcoin chart is pretty much closely related. Maybe a bit of a key factor there. The dollar is still rising, the 10-year yield on the US is still rising, and the Dow Jones is dropping. The S&P is dropping, the Nasdaq is dropping. That's telling us that we should realistically be looking at holding on to our money right now, which is where the fear comes in, right? Fear will always drive that emotion for like not to do anything. If that still is the case, guess what's going to happen? People are not going to invest. Where is the money going to come from? And I've already showed you on previous videos, especially on my Patreon recently, about where the volume's gone. Like looking back to where it was height of the bull market of certain assets into the billions of dollars of like volume of trading into like 10 million. It's like, where have the people gone? This is where I cannot get the narrative of a bull market coming anytime soon, because it feels like the older days where no one is here. And it also feels like in the stock market, i.e. no one wants to invest, no one wants to put any big money on the line to change things, right? If we're all going off data and the data is bad, we're not going to see people go long for obvious reasons. You know, it's stupidity. They're going to lose money. And we've already had potential, margin calls on a few big banks recently where it could have been at risk, and they probably were at risk until they changed something, which is very, very important, right? So, moving on, what do? We need to think long term. If we are in crypto, we've got to think long term and look for potential opportunities to make money. The money is always going to be there. It's just finding it, right? You got a couple of options. Dollar cost average, go long, that you are bullish on crypto, on good cryptocurrency assets that you believe are good. Not financial advice, but look at the ones that have been around for quite a while. They will give you a good idea. When you're looking at that, try and avoid new assets that you've missed the boat on. The speculative assets that are like getting pumped out, because that's what happens realistically. And ultimately it's short-lived, and then, token emissions, VCs will come and eat and gobble it all up, and then you just get left with nothing, right? Be careful with that. If we're looking at TA on this and looking at the higher time frames, in my opinion, we're looking, I just cannot get my head around this price action right now, right? In my opinion, I do think we're going lower. I think we are slowly just getting lower. There's been no higher low to give us any sort of indication of a potential rally. And if we lose this entire level here, for me, we're going to see some levels that we're not seeing since 2020. And that's where I think people are getting a little bit upset about, why has this market done this? Even though I've explained it just in this video, why we're so close to the S&P, why we're close to so many things, that's kind of the narrative. There's not many people around. Look at the video metrics, look at the comments, look at everything, right? No one's here. You got other YouTubers doing videos about how to make money as a remote job. That sort of thing is a big factor in how things have changed. This is where, if you're good in the markets, you will make money, because 1, you'll keep capital, 2, you'll buy low, and 3, you'll be in a good position to be able to take profit when the markets do eventually start going bullish. They will eventually turn. It's just, when will they turn? Feels like a long time away. Anyways, if you got here, welcome to my channel. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, obviously. But if you want to learn more, check out the links below. I've got courses, I've got all kinds of stuff going on. So yeah, if you want to get into the markets properly, there you go.